And welcome once again to Liberty Lounge. I am hanging out with my bros. I got on my left Jared of Guns and Gadgets. Jared, say what up?
What up?
And out there in California is Anthony, the Armed Scholar. Anthony, say the word of your choice.
Spotify.
Spotify is right. However y'all found us, we're glad that you did, but get yourself subscribed, whether you're on Apple or
Spotify.
Get you,
Or YouTube.
or YouTube, however it's going to be. All right, I wanted to kind of open with this. It's been 2 weeks, but we lost a YouTuber, and Paul Harrell. A lot of y'all know Paul Harrell. We've talked about him a bunch on this podcast, but here at the Liberty Lounge, we received Paul. That's actually Paul Harrell's hat. How cool is that? And my studio is here, and your studio is a mile away, and the Paul Harrell team sent that over. And I just think it's really cool to kind of be connected to Paul Harrell. I didn't know this, Jared. Let me throw this at you. I didn't know. I knew he's funny. I always considered him a comedian, but I threw that out there to my audience, and a bunch of people said, "Heck yeah, he's a comedian." One that never laughed. Did you realize he was as funny as I think he is?
Yeah, he has that dry humor, and that was one of his best qualities because he'd throw something out there and not even react.
He had somebody made a compilation video of like 15 years of videos, and it's all of the funny packed together in a minute and a half. And it is honest to goodness hysterical, the crap that he said. Anthony, has your audience been talking about the passing of Paul Harrell?
Yeah, I think everybody, audience, especially when it first happened, my comment section was filled automatically with people, talking about Paul Harrell. And I think a lot of people are of the same perspective as you, Johnny, that obviously he was pretty hilarious when the SpongeBob pajamas, like how with such a straight face, like that was done for because he knew what he was doing.
He knew,
but it's with a serious face, which makes it even more hilarious. So I mean, it's cool. It's sad to have one of us that's gone, but his legacy is going to stand. The whole Sandlot, legends live forever type of thing. So.
It's true. Legends really do live forever, and people have been talking about him. And I was sad, and I'm still sad. I mean, I won't ever be over this. But Paul told us to keep going. Mm-hmm. And on an episode, I don't know, about a week ago, I said something. I said, how about we do some memes? Let's keep going. And my audience was like, yeah, that's what Paul told us to do. He said, I'm sorry I'm dead, which is, I can't, I'll cry. Like he said, he apologized. He apologized for dying. And then he's like, keep going. And I think that's how we remember him. He's hilarious. He's fun. Holy smokes, we learned some good stuff about him. But I kind of wanted to open today's episode and just say, we got a piece of him right here. How cool is that? That's the hat he has been wearing in recent days. And I may get one of those glass things like you have your football helmets in. My audience, like, you got to put that under glass. And somebody asked me, Johnny, have you worn it yet? I'm like, no, I will never wear. You don't wear the Paul Harrell hat.
You can't. It belonged to Paul, and that's it. It should be memorialized.
Absolutely a great guy. Today we're talking about the opposite, an absolute complete moron. We were laughing together the off air. We were talking about how Kamala has said some freaking dumb stuff, and I mean some really, really dumb stuff. And we started bouncing it around. How many dumb things has she said? Pretty much everything she said. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And the question of the day to all of the audience is, what's the dumbest thing she said? Let us know. Holler at us. Let us know. Leave a comment. What is the dumbest she has said? Jared, you're up first. Hit us with a dumb statement.
Well, I'll start with the first one that makes most of us cringe with a little bit of excitement. That she was going to have the Stones to come into your house and check in your legally owned guns in the sanctity of your locked home to make sure that you were being responsible.
Help me understand that. She said that she was going to come or send her people, fired up on collard greens and barbecue sauce into your house to check on your guns to see how they were stored?
Yeah, this was back when Gavin Newsom was the mayor of San Fran and she was the district attorney. Newsom had a bill that was Anthony would know more about the bill number, but it was similar to secure storage. And that she came out at his press conference and said, even if you are, in the sanctity of your locked home, that doesn't stop us, the government, from coming in to check on your guns.
Stack up, bitches. Yeah. Stack up.
Please be in the front of the stack.
Be in the front of the stack. So you're saying that's she's not going to do that?
No, I would doubt that. I don't think she has the stones.
Does not have the stones. That means balls for y'all from the South. Anthony, how dumb is that idea? And here's the question. We love California. California takes way too much flack. There's a lot of patriots in Northern California. But do you think she's just been out there way too long to think she can say something like that? Because try saying that in Appalachia. We going to say stack up.
I think she's just so ingrained in that anti-gun culture, that every town Giffords mentality. And it's not like California hasn't passed laws like that. Like Jared was mentioning, that comment was in direct relation to a piece of legislation that was being proposed where you would need to have safe storage requirements for all parents with children in the home. You would have to store them a certain way, with ammunition separated from it. And she was saying, because there's such a large public interest of children getting their hands on firearms, that there should be some sort of special needs exemption to the warrant requirement that the police officers, law enforcement, whoever it is, can probably Cal DOJ should be able to go into someone's home upon reports that they are not complying with this law and actually check to see if you are complying with the law. So that was
it over there. What do you got going on with your phone?
I'm rereading the Constitution to see if that's in here.
Yeah.
See if that's in the Constitution of the United States. I knew you were doing a bit. I just didn't know what it was going to be.
Yeah. So that's how crazy she is. I mean, we have safe storage laws in California. There was pieces of legislation that were being bounced around for a while in California also where parents would have to report to schools. Jared, you might remember this, was like a couple years back, would have to report to schools that you have firearms within the home. Mm-hmm. So you would have to notify your children's school that you have firearms within the home, and they could potentially do certain things with that as well. In insanity, she definitely would, herself definitely wouldn't be in the stack, but she would love to send her cronies to check. She would love to send the federal government or Cal DOJ or whoever to do it. She definitely, or the ATF, she would definitely love to do that. Because could you imagine if you had a piece of legislation like that where law enforcement at any point could use some sort of special needs exemption to the warrant requirement or do part of their community caretaking exemptions, come into your home and make sure you are safely storing your firearms, and if not, then potentially confiscate them or hit you with a misdemeanor or something like that because you're violating the law. That's their mentality. That's how insane they really are on the anti-gun side.
The hard truth is we have given up everything in the United States. Our freedom is gone. We have cameras at red lights. We have to have a piece of plastic to drive a car. We have to put a piece of metal on the back of our car and say, oh, please let me own my car. We have to have a title to a car. We have to have an inspection sticker on a car. Just driving from point A to point B is unbelievable. Taxes at 65%. We are rammed up our rear ends and sodomized by this government nonstop at every turn. But I'm telling you, we don't F around about our castles. That is the last place we got. And I think that is a bastion. I think there is a line. I think, and I get it, I realize that there are parts of California that have been neutered. There's parts of New Jersey and Massachusetts that have had their balls snipped off, and they are a lot of the New England folks are just like, oh, please, daddy government. There's people in Hawaii that are neutered.
Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis is not Tennessee. Memphis is Memphis. Memphis is
Walker in Memphis.
What the hell, Anthony? Where did that come from?
No, it was in my mind when you said that.
I don't even know. I do. Oh my gosh. And it was with the accent. It's the right accent. Memphis, and Tennessee is Tennessee. Here's the deal. We are neutered and ballless, but I think you try to stack up in the South. You got another thing coming. I think you try to stack up in Wyoming or try to stack up in some parts of New Mexico. You try to stack up in freaking Florida. You imagine walking into a trailer in Florida at 3 a.m. Holy smokes, I can hear those bare feet coming across the floor right now in the middle of the night. Do they have electricity? Nope. But do they have double-aught shotgun shells? Yep.
Just buy a shotgun.
Buy a shotgun.
Buy a shotgun.
Send 2 blasts into the sky. I really think that. I think as bad as America is, I think of all things for her to throw out there that she's going to come do a check in our house, as the kids say, LOL.
Yeah. You're up, son. Dumb, she said.
All right, something dumb, she said. Here's the deal is that I went through this deep dive. I deep dive this so far today. We talked on another episode about how she went on Oprah and is like, I own a gun. And then people were like, Johnny, you were being disrespectful to black people. I'm saying, no. Kamala is being disrespectful to black women because she's about as black as I am. And she was raised Indian. She has been Indian. And we are talking Indian her entire life. She never even campaigned as African-American until she ran with Biden. Mm-hmm. And she's full of crap. My only point, besides I like hot sauce too, is that her accent is fake and she's pandering. That's my only point. She is nothing more than Robert Downey Jr. in blackface, albeit less respectfully than he was. Well, we moving on up. So she said all that stuff to Oprah, and Oprah was like, girl. And then I took a deep dive. In 2019, she said the words, because she told Trump, she said, ain't nobody coming for your guns. Ain't nobody. Your guns are safe with me. 2019, she said it on NBC. She said, I am pro mandatory gun buybacks. At this point, people bang away on the keyboards. How can the government buy back something they'd never owned to begin with? True. Anthony, tell me I'm wrong. A mandatory buyback is confiscation.
Yeah, it's a violation of the taking clause. It's a clear violation, not just of the Second Amendment, but the taking clause, where you have the government actually forcibly taking your property without compensation, and really giving you no other alternatives than give it up. That's your only option, or you go to jail. So there's issues with that in general. And I think it's interesting too. People say she's dumb, and she clearly is dumb. But she knows enough.
She's smart as hell.
Did you guys see the IQ quote?
I did not see the IQ quote.
Literally, no, I don't remember where it came, but it was a classmate from her psychology class from when she was at Howard. And they did a run, like an IQ test, and everybody ran up to get their results. And the average in the class was like $115, and hers came in at 78 or 79. And she said, oh, cool, that's almost 80. 80's perfect, right? And then her stupid laugh, and everybody looked at her like, you are an idiot.
Is that real?
That you can search it. I read it literally before I got in the car to come over here.
See, I heard the other day that somebody said she's actually pretty bright. She obviously used her knees to get where she is, but also is that the problem is she freezes and locks up when on camera, and that she's not light on her feet. She's not nimble verbally, and so she locks up and comes across as a moron. You're saying that she's actually a moron.
Well, she had a neighbor with a lawn, and they like to keep their lawns nice and tidy. And she had a neighbor that was...
What are you talking about?
That's how she answers questions. That was an actual question she answered on what are you going to do to stop our inflation? Well, I come from a middle-class family.
I come from a middle-class family.
And my neighbors really kept their lawns up. Like, she's an idiot.
Tomorrow is tomorrow. And yet tomorrow was tomorrow yesterday. Anthony, go ahead. You're suggesting that she's a moron. I think I'm going to agree with you at this point.
I think she's a moron, but she knows enough, but is not smart enough to articulate her point well enough also. So when she talks about a lot, she's kind of playing that word salad game that liberals, especially anti-gunners, like to play, where I'm not going to confiscate your firearms, but I am in favor of a national rifle ban. So when you hear that, you go, well, don't those like clash against each other? What she really is trying to articulate is I'm in favor of a national rifle ban, which is prospective, which is similar to what California originally did, where they cut off and you had to register those firearms that were already in your possession, but they grandfathered them in. So that's really what she's advocating for. But then she's also on the other side, well, I'm not going to confiscate anything. In reality, we know eventually they will, because they always go after the grandfathered rifles or magazines or whatever down the road, probably like 4 or 5 years down the road. They always do it. So that's really what she's claiming, but she's just too dumb to really articulate it the right way. So then everything's contradictory, and her best solution for that is to just go back and forth on whatever point she's making for whatever person she's speaking to for that interview. So I think that's, and cackle and be like, I'm a gun owner too. I'm gonna blast them. So. Walking in Memphis.
There we go. There we go. I was expecting it. All right. Today's episode is brought to you by TriStar Trading, makers of the softest tees in the game. Do you want to save? I know you do. Use code LIBERTY. They've got tees, they've got belts, they got slings, they got patches. They got all sorts of good stuff. But your favorite currently, Jared?
I love my Wubby robes.
They've got Wubby robes, and holy smokes, you and I got to help with the launch on that one. Y'all know those Wubby jackets that are ultra soft and warm. They are now robes. I kind of call it a smoking jacket because it kind of latches around the front like a robe. But holy smokes, it's warm.
You get a pipe, you feel like Hugh.
Who's Hugh?
Hugh Hefner.
Oh, Hugh Hefner. Yes, we know that guy. Yes, thanks, Jared. Super helpful. They got him in Vietnam Tiger Strike, Black Multicam, or God's Plaid Woodland. It's TriStar Trading. Check them out and use code LIBERTY. Softest tees in the game. We're talking today about Kamala and how she's a moron. And also, here's the deal. Like back when, that photo that went around about 3 weeks ago or a month ago about her as Montel Williams' side piece, and she's in that slinky outfit. She was hard to look at then. How did she get to where she's at looking like that? Because even in her prime, it wasn't that prime.
Well, according to Willie Brown, she's a very talented woman.
I have nothing to respond to that. Who's up next? I went last. Who's up next? Anthony, you're up. What is the dumbest thing? What is the thanks, Jared. This is the episode where we probably should stop and refilm, but we're gonna forge ahead. Anthony, out there in Memphis, how's it going? What do you got? What do you got? What's the dumbest thing that Kamala has said?
Ooh, I just have to go back to the general thing that she also said on Oprah, and she said a few times now, that I'm pro-gun, I own a gun, pro-Second Amendment, but I'm in favor of national rifle bans and universal background checks and red flag laws, and those don't violate the Second Amendment. It's insane that that people let her get away with that. I mean, is there just no more integrity in our media? I guess if you want to call Oprah and Taylor Swift and all these idiots media, but it's just funny that they can really just walk that out and push that out to a broader audience, and people will believe it and be like, "Oh yeah, you're right. Red flag laws don't violate the Second Amendment. Rifle bans don't violate either. Rifles," she always says, "are weapons of war. AR-15s are weapons of war." She loves to walk that out. So anytime she says those things on those interviews, I just want to bash my head through a wall.
I saw a great meme on this where, it was a man and a woman, and the woman said, "Oh, Kamala Harris is a gun owner. I guess that means she's with us and I can vote for her now." And the boyfriend, husband, or whatever said, "I'm so glad that you're so in touch with your mental illness. I can't even talk." So anybody who thinks that she's one of us because she said she owns a gun, you need to go get your head checked because your egg's scrambled.
Yeah, it's tough because they always push, always they push to the center right before an election. They push to the center, and we talked about it in another episode, they always go and do I was a hunter. And I forget, I don't even care. It's one of the moderate rhino Republican, or maybe it was a Democrat, I don't know, somebody that was really in the middle. They came out and started talking about, my daddy was a woman, my daddy was a hunter, and my grandfather was a hunter. And I'm like,
the Pocahontas?
What? It was somebody out west, and she just kept rattling about how her granddaddy was a hunter. Like that is an instant check mark that you're good to go on guns. And Kamala has said that on campaign. She like, listen here, Tim Walz is a hunter. And Tim Walz was just sitting there, just wandering around the back of the stage like he does, and just like, and then people all started clapping. Oh my God, he's a hunter. The point is, to Anthony's point, this crap they throw at us violates the Constitution and won't hold up in court. Anthony can tell you more than I can about common usage. And I say this, we sell, I don't know how many ARs a day, but it's a lot. And if you haven't bought one recently, you're not doing your job. Go get yourself another one. We all need more, or upgrade the one you got. I love the more that we buy, and every day it's going up. Anthony, that pushing into common usage, the more they are, the harder they're going to be legally to confiscate. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's very clearly acknowledged by almost every court, left-leaning or not, that the AR-15s and almost every semi-automatic rifle is in common use today. Suppressors are clearly in common use also. That doesn't stop them from trying to still regulate them. They're not supposed to, but they will still try. And even the point, I hate this. They love to walk out. AR-15s are not useful, or they're useful military service. They're militaristic weapons. If you really look at the true purpose of the Second Amendment and why the founders, actually, put in place and ratified the Second Amendment, it was so that the citizenry had access to whatever weaponry they would need to then get together and fight back against a tyrannical government, either foreign or domestic. So that is the true purpose of the Second Amendment. Whether or not these items are useful in the military or not doesn't really validate whether they can be restricted or not. Unfortunately, the whole common use stuff coming out of Heller has kind of pushed the legal world into one specific focal point when you're looking at these cases. But when you actually look at the true historical purpose of the Second Amendment, the whole military use shouldn't be acknowledged at all. And even when you look at the Miller case, they talked about certain firearms because they were useful in the military, therefore they're protected. But again, some of the legal world and the analysis have moved away from that into a different kind of avenue. So it frustrates me. All of this frustrates me. And the whole point of her being like, well, I'm not anti-gun, while she is literally the head of the new White House Executive Office of Gun Violence Prevention, which collaborates with Everytown and Giffords and the ATF and the DOJ to actually enforce federal gun control more aggressively. Like, that is literally her position right now. She's the head of that office, but she's not anti-gun.
And 2 days ago, from the time we're recording this, they actually had their 1 year anniversary where she celebrated how much gun control she's done in the last year.
I jumped on her website today so that y'all don't have to. I will wade through the sewers of this world so y'all don't have to go jump into that muck and filth. And it's so good. I went through her website and all of her policies on what she's going to do when she is elected or she steals the election. It's fascinating. She's got it all on there, everything written out, what she's going to do. It's all about assault weapons bans and confiscating AR-15s. I believe when a cheetah shows you their spots, you should believe them. This is who she is. And she's trying to push to the middle. I own me a gun. I don't believe her.
She have any quotes on there from Judge Joe Brown?
No, she didn't, but she did when she shot her gun for her promo pic. She did turn it sideways. Hey, what's the Judge Joe Brown thing? I have heard that like 3 times in the last, and I've been at the beach. And
he's been doing it for months.
What's going on with Judge Joe Brown? Everybody's talking about it.
Judge Joe Brown is about as grounded as you can get in calling a snake a snake. He has gone after Obama. He's gone after Kamala and saying how she got to where she is and how she's nothing but a ghetto hoe. And yeah, those are his words. If you haven't seen it, go look up those sound bites.
He called her a ghetto hoe.
Yes, he called her a hoe. He said, watch it. I don't want to ruin it. Go dig up those sound bites. You can see them wherever you can find our stuff.
I'm going to go next, and then Jared's going to have our last one of what is the dumbest that she has said. For me, it's not one particular thing. It's the overall theme and idea. When I get talked down to, and believe me, as a bald-headed Appalachian, I have been talked down to before. I know what it feels like. It ruffles my feathers, it rankles me, and it rustles my jimmies big time to be talked down to. And when she starts that pandering, does anybody here know what a Venn diagram is? Like she starts explaining, like she's not mansplaining, she's ma'am-splaining to us. These basic things you have here a school bus, and on the school bus, it takes kids to school. And then she'll look around at her handlers like she just said something. For me, one, like I'm above thinking that she's anything but a moron. However, what gets me going is that the media just loves her and claps. Jared, is she as bad as I think she is when she starts that mansplaining stuff?
She is, and she's worse, but the media and everybody love it because she's not Donald Trump. Donald Trump is trying to end bad policy. They're just trying to stop Trump. So that's why they love her so much.
Anthony, is she as dumb as I think she is?
I lean towards yes, absolutely.
Is she as pandering as I think she is? Like that tone, does that not get under your skin?
Oh, she's clearly pandering to everybody about everything. Her accent has changed. We know this. We've seen all the clips. Her accent has changed. She became Hispanic suddenly. I don't know how.
What did she say that was Hispanic?
I don't know. It was at one of the
coconut tree.
No, not even that. It was at one of her speeches, and she was
said it earlier today. I forget what it was.
She was like, "Oh, hello, my friends," like something weird like that, and everybody's like, all of a sudden she's Hispanic, like chameleon Kamala. So yeah, I don't think she's that smart.
She actually looked at the camera earlier today and said, "Swiper, no swiping. Swiper, no swiping. Swiper, no swiping. Come on, vamonos.
Dora the Explorer.
Everybody, let's go."
Yeah. Did you? Even with that Oprah interview. Did you guys watch the full thing? I didn't watch the full thing, but I caught the clip at the end where Oprah asked her about, again, a policy question. Every time she gets asked a policy question, she can't answer anything. But she asked her about, I think, immigration and how she was going to address it. And it was complete word salad. And then people broke it down sentence by sentence to see like what was she actually saying. And sentence by sentence, none of it made sense. It was all just like not like it was nonsense. It was something about like, we believe in your character of who you are in which we were founded, but your character is who we can always be. It was like
unbound by the past.
yeah, unbound by the communism. Nice. Yeah. So yeah, she's dumb. I think we all agree.
Yeah, she's dumb.
She's dumb.
I got a few more things to say, but Jared, you are dumbest thing that Kamala Harris has said. And are we pandering to this audience? I don't think so. I think we're just celebrating an idiot at this point.
Yeah, no, I think the people who watch us are definitely on our side on this one. And there's not many, you won't see many Kamala fans in our audience.
Are there any Kamala fans out there? Let us know. We will pin you to the top so that we can all meme you until you cry and then make fun of you crying.
I got a point, which is interesting. So I walk around my community a lot, and the little community we have right here. And over the last 2 weeks, suddenly out of nowhere, I've seen more Harris and Waltz signs pop up.
Because the TV told me to.
It's very interesting. And I've also seen multiple signs pop up that say Christians for Harris. And it's just interesting where some of these things, these people who were not in favor of Harris at all, we all know that she was the worst. She had the worst numbers for a VP, but suddenly even their side are just bending over backwards to just hail her as the answer. And
she
even
didn't
just
even run in the primary, didn't even run. And now suddenly they think they want her.
And when she's in office, she's going to fix these things. Yeah. What's the problem with that, guys?
She's been in office for 4 years.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, dumb as hell. Jared, what you got? Dumbest thing of Kamala Harris?
We're not going back. We're not going back. Going back to what they've been doing the last 3.5 years, destroying America? Because even Tim Waltz said, we can't take 4 more years of this.
He said we can't take 4 more years of this. Like, yeah, you're right, Tim. Like on this one, I don't know how I feel about horse semen, but as far as we can't take 4 more years of this, we can't, Tim. We can't.
Yeah, quite dumb to try to convince people that you're not going to continue doing what your handlers tell you you're going to do. She's not bold enough or strong enough. We probably the last president who had some stones was Donald Trump. Clearly, Joe Biden isn't pushing back to whoever's telling him what he will do, and she's not going to be any different.
How many viewers right now are Googling Tim Walz and horse semen?
I'm sure there's a few.
There's a few. Don't do it. Don't
more
do it.
now.
Don't do it. You've been warned. Yeah, I think the whole idea of them just like not even admitting where they're at, like you said earlier that Trump should just lean into some of the things they call him. You say, hey, you're a threat against democracy. Hell's yeah, I'm a threat against democracy. I'm a threat against everything that's been going on the last 4 years. She should lean into that crap, and she doesn't. She should just lean into, we've struggled the last 4 years, but we've got a good plan, and we really believe we can fix this. Just lean into it rather than going, America's great and we ain't Donald Trump. Holy smokes, they would get more traction with me that way.
But the problem is you'd have to have a plan.
Yeah. Do they have a plan?
No.
Yesterday was today, yesterday. And tomorrow will be tomorrow.
Her neighbor has a lawn.
Yeah.
I missed that one. That was so much fun. I got to find that. My neighbor has a lawn.
That's funny. Every time she gets asked anything about the economy, my mom, single mom raising us, and my neighbor had a lawn, and they always worked and made it really. It was like, okay, so no answer.
Yeah.
But even that, like John, you say, lean into the policies. Like, how can they really lean into the policies? Like, how are you going to fix? Like, what are you going to do when you get in office to fix immigration? Well, she's leading immigration right now. Like, how are you going to?
The borders are.
Yeah, and the wars in Ukraine and the Middle East and all of these things that are literally on her hands, and she was leading the policy and part of the administration that result in these things. So how can you claim that you have a plan to fix these things when you're the one who started them to begin with? So I don't
saw
know.
an interview the other day, and he was talking about the machine that pushes forward, the machine of the military industrial complex, the machine of big pharma, the machine of big tech. It all pushes forward. And his presupposition was that the leaders of this and all of these men, and most of those they're older white men, and most of them, because they don't play DEI stuff when the crap is on the line, they're not just hiring some blue-haired moron so they can put it onto their social media. He said these men only care that the machine goes forward and that they are 1,000% pro Kamala because they know they can control her. And that's what's scary, is that she's not just dumb, she's not just an idiot, but she's a useful idiot to those that are in power. What do you think about that theory?
I think it's spot on, because one of the best stories you hear about Donald Trump, whether you love him or hate him, one of the most ballsy things he did was when he had the Taliban leaders at the White House and told them, "You will not hurt another American citizen until we, have this staged withdrawal," and handed them a picture of their house. Said, "If you do, I'll kill you," and walked out of the room. I mean, that's ballsy. And Kamala Harris doesn't have that stroke. She doesn't have that strut to her, and the rest of the communist world leaders know that. And
they're afraid of Trump. They really are afraid of Trump. And if you listen, what's that sound right there? That's the sound of China sharpening their swords and loading magazines because they know they can own her. That's a very scary thing, is that, today's episode is ha, 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 Kamala's an idiot and a hoe. But what the hard reality is, can you imagine gas prices and imagine how people are going to be struggling? Anthony, I was in California 2 weeks ago. Gas was $6 a gallon. How will people survive under her policies?
I don't know. I don't know how people are surviving right now under some of these policies. I mean, we know how bad it is right now. And it is scary. I mean, I think one of the better points that Trump made during the debate was talking about some of the communication between this current administration and Putin and Zelensky and all of them, and how they haven't even talked to Putin in the last 2 years, but they keep claiming that, oh, when we get into office again, like, we can solve this issue. Like, well, you haven't even talked to him in 2 years. And I think if you're objective, which it's hard for people nowadays to be, but there's no way you can say Trump wouldn't handle some of these situations better.
Yeah.
But I think your point, because I've seen this walk be discussed a lot, Johnny, exactly what you're pointing to, where the anti-Trump movement is so much because he is not part of the establishment. The current establishment doesn't necessarily care about whether you're liberal or conservative, as long as you're part of the establishment and you push that objective forward. They don't. So it's kind of like a zero-sum game for them. Like, they don't really, the people maybe in power really don't care what politics you have, because regardless, you're going to push forward whatever objective that they're giving you.
And that Trump guy that was talking this week, that's exactly, almost verbatim, Anthony, what he said. He said that we have the illusion of choice. They sit back and they watch, and he was really careful. He was scared. He was really careful with his words. And he said they watch the primaries and they know that it doesn't matter which of the 3 on this side or the 4 on that side get in. Give Americans the illusion of choice, because it doesn't matter which one of those 7 get in. Then they go down to 2, and then they genuinely don't care. They'll give a thumbs up to either, because they know that they are going to push that agenda forward and that nothing is going to change and the money is still going to flow. Today's episode is very much about how Kamala is a moron, but I wanted to end with just a moment of sobriety, which is, holy crap, if she gets in, how screwed are we, Jared?
Very. Like, people need to seriously look in the mirror. If you have kids, like, look at your kids and ask yourselves, 3.5 years ago, were your kids in a better spot? Was their prosperity in a better spot? Because if it was, and most people who, know how to deal with money and they're not getting it for free from the government will say, yes, we were in a better spot 3.5 years ago. For whatever your personal politics are, we're at a crossroads in this country that we haven't been in our lifetimes.
If you are in a better spot today than you were 3.5 years ago, you might be an illegal immigrant. On behalf of Jared of Guns and Gadgets and Anthony the Armed Scholar, however you found us, we're glad you're we are good. I was going to correct the Memphis joke and I just blew it. We're glad you found us. Get yourself subscribed both on Apple and Spotify. On behalf of both of these knuckleheads, I'm Johnny B, and Memphis.